Jit, oh Jit, what is going on, Chatamaran? Where's my button? There it is. Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Therapy Thursday here on the Kilted Pork channel. I am the Kilted Pork guy. That is me. For those of you that are passing through or clicking on this on YouTube and don't know what Therapy Thursday is, basically every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, I get together on here on Twitch with my sister Asteria, who is a licensed therapist, and we discuss different things that are going on in our lives or mental health stuff, and we encourage anybody that has any mental health questions or issues in their lives to throw it into the chat room here, and we will discuss what's going on and try to help people feel better. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. So yeah, it's just our little way of giving back to the community, because not everybody has the resources available to have therapy, whether it be financial or maybe there's just no therapy in your area, and all that. Those other companies online are usually not that great that you hear commercials for, so this is our little way of giving back. That being said, excuse me, yeah, I just ate something. Let's bring the Asteria in here.
Did you allow a beluga whale into this fucking stream today?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's not very nice. They need to be in the water.
They are in the water. That's what a very, very moderately sized kitchen sink is for.
Oh.
For the beluga of whales.
Baby beluga. Oh, baby beluga. Anyway. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Not great. How about you?
Can't complain.
That's good.
But such is life. What's going on?
Well, first you want to get your spiel out of the way.
Oh yeah. I forgot about all of you. Hi. It's me. Asteria.
Asteria.
This ends up being like a fucking 12-step. If you're new to the stream or haven't heard my spiel before, I am an associate marriage and family therapist. I work in the state of California, and as a marriage and family therapist, my background I focus on. I work with individuals, couples, families, various relationship dynamics. My background is in trauma, substance use, personality diagnoses, depression and anxiety, and dissociative disorders. I use this platform with Kilted here to talk about various topics related to mental health, where I'd love to hear about different questions, comments, concerns you want to go ahead and put in the chat. Otherwise, we're just going to continue chatting right here, but amongst ourselves, and where I'll bring up various topics along the way. However, this conversation or this discussion naturally flows. Because I am a marriage and family therapist, I am a mandated reporter. However, I am a mandated reporter to my clients, to my people. So because of that, to hold to my own ethical bounds and so forth, I feel more comfortable about certain boundaries being the following, and legalities as well. One, I don't do diagnoses here. So as much as you think that, or you want me to go ahead and assume that you have one of the newest crazes of diagnoses, you don't have it. Go to a professional. And then, and if you think that your mother's a narcissist, let's just assume that she is. She probably is.
She probably is.
Yeah, she just probably is. Let's just kind of get to the point there. But again, I don't do diagnosing here. I will talk about diagnosis, but I will not do any formal diagnosing. And because of the mandated reported piece, there are folks that are protected classes for me. Specifically, though, on here, I will hold the boundary of not discussing suicidal topics. to anyone that is 18 years and younger. So I'm making it very clear that if you're just continuing to discuss it here, that one, this is for folks to talk about, or that topic is for folks that are 18 years and older to talk about. And we will not be doing any rescue missions related to suicidality from wherever you're at. So don't try to do attachment strategies or attention seeking behaviors to try to get our attention that way. It does not work with me. I do deal with that on the daily. It will not be new. So with that being said, feel free to bring in questions, comments, concerns into the chat. We will go ahead and continue with our discussion, and we'll stop along the way with what you would like to share. Please, I also want to just make this very clear. Please be respectful that what is said here is out. Like, this isn't mandatory. This isn't this is just completely like voluntary what we're doing here. If you don't relate to what is said here, just be respectful and be nice to everyone here. Otherwise, I encourage you just to be an observer. So outside of that, let's go ahead and get started. What's going on, Kilton?
No, life being life, and getting kind of over it.
What do you mean over it?
I don't want to do life anymore. It sucks.
Depends, but what's going on?
Jeez, where to start? Let's just say I'm having all the pains.
Oh.
Physical, mental, emotional, everything just hurts. Financial.
Yeah. Oh, I hate all of that for you.
Yeah. I don't know where to start with it. How are you?
Let me check in with myself. I'm just tired, in all honesty. I'm tired because it's the holidays and mental health world is just a really difficult time, because despite if people are doing well or put together, the holidays can just increase the likelihood of vulnerabilities to surface, and a lot of internalized hurt, and a lot of lower energy and threshold to handle stuff. And so there's a lot more depression, anxiety, suicidality, people relapsing, just whatever the plethora of relapsing entails, including but not limited to eating disorders, chemical addictions, physical addictions, fucking abusive or neglectful or just straight up not good for you relationships. It's just exhausting. And the symptoms are symptoming. So
what does that mean?
Meaning that the severity of like my client's symptoms are like at all high right now, where like there has just been, it's just like they're projecting a lot of their, what I like to call seasonal triggers onto us, the staff. And it's just, you have to hold, it's like walking, it's like trying to walk and chew gum while balancing plates and trying to rub your tummy all at the same time. It's like, it's a lot. And so I am happy about the times where I'm away from work. But in addition to that, because it being holidays, I also would love to get rest, except there's a high demand to like engage and socialize right now, which is, again, I don't mind in that where I can give it, but I definitely feel an increase in need of rest. And like, what I mean rest is like, even when there's like downtime, I'll like still do like little tiny chores or little tiny things. Like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I legit just want to either play Magic, watch shows with my partner, or just lounge. Like, that is the extent of what's going on. Emotionally, I'm fine, mentally I'm just worn. And also I had like this weird thing physically happen where like I don't know where is the origin point, but there was like this significant like muscle like pain that shot up all on the right side of my body where I'm still recouping, where it's like I felt like I had like a very dull Charlie horse for I had for like the last 3 days. I felt like in a pain in my hip, um, in my shoulder, and in my neck, all to the point where like it hurt to turn my head, and I was like, "What the fuck happened?"
What a coincidence.
The pain in your neck.
I
You
have
relate
that
to a pain.
right now, and that's one thing that's been bugging me because I've actually not been able to sleep for the last couple nights because it's been so bad.
Oh my god! I wonder what's going on.
I know exactly what's going on, but go ahead. Let's hear about yours.
I have a sinking suspicion because I did go on. I think so. My gut's telling me this is what happened. But I went to a concert on Saturday, and this concert is in the next major city north of here, and in driving there, in having to do a significant kind of walk between where we ended up parking, getting to the stadium, getting back, and how I slept driving down because Artemis took over driving on the way down. I think I pinched something all the way through. So yeah, I think it was a strain in itself, and now it's just kind of slowly going away. But yeah, that's what I think's going on. What about you? What's going on over there?
Well, it sounds like you probably, just slept all funny on the way back and tweaked your neck. Well, mine, oh jeez. Sorry, my computer's like, hey, Windows has got an update. You should restart your computer right now. And I'm like, no.
Right now.
But yeah, this thing's kind of been building for a while, and for probably about a month, my shoulder area has been hurting. I don't know if you heard me complain about it yet. And I've been asking people that I know. I was like, hey, I need someone to come over and use my massage gun and just dig it into my back to get this thing worked out before it becomes a problem. And everyone's like, no, go see a professional, I'm like, I don't want to spend, $70 to $100 or whatever, when I could just get somebody I know to hopefully just spend 10 minutes drilling my back. That's all you have to do. I have the equipment for this. I can't reach it. That's all it is. So everyone kept saying no, and then it finally got to a point where it became a problem, and then I couldn't sleep. I've been, like, for the last couple of nights, it's been pretty bad, and I just went to a massage therapist today, right before we jumped on here. I just, finished. And even they were like sitting there like, dude, like, we can't get those knots out. They were putting all their weight into it. I was like, yeah, this is what happens when it's not handled ahead of time. And now this is probably going to be a big problem, especially with my race coming up on Saturday.
It's true.
Yeah, so it's not great. Like, it got to a point where I was almost unable to get out of bed. It basically paralyzed me.
Yeah, that fucking is awful. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
that sounds bad. That's all bad.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't able. That's why I didn't do my stream on Tuesday, because I was just in so much pain. Plus, I had an exam the next day and all that. I couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it.
Man, I fucking hate that for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sucks. And so I'm just sitting here just like trying to stretch it and put muscle rub on it, and I'm taking down these ibuprofen. They look like horse pills because they're so freaking big.
Oh, do you got the good stuff?
It's ibuprofen. It's just bigger pills.
Oh, it's not what
they're 800 milligram ones.
Well, I never mind.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I'm really fucking sorry to hear that. I was about to fucking go over to your place to use the massage gun myself because I'm like, I fucking hurt. Make
Yeah.
it stop.
It hurts. I was literally in physical tears because I was hurting so bad.
Oh man, that's fucking awful. And is there any relief that you received?
I don't know if the ibuprofen's helping or not, or if the massage helped, but
You know what you need?
friends.
A silly little. Well, yes, but a silly little time. You need to have a silly little. You need a little silly little spooky time. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
The devil's lettuce.
Oh, yeah, the old hoot flute. Yeah, I was going to do that, but I was saying that I was like, man, I want to do that tonight, but we were streaming, so
That would have been funny.
yeah.
Okay, I don't care who's listening. I already intend to have silly goose times on Thursday, not right next Thursday. And because that's just a nice holiday fest.
Yeah, should we do this next Thursday?
I don't think so. I mean, I'll be in your area, but I will also, if anyone wasn't familiar with this, I'll also have my mother.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
She's silly. I mean, she'll just sit in the corner for hours, that's true. Or she'll hang out with Artemis. Yeah. So, yeah. It'll be funny.
Yeah, because I was thinking other people are probably going to be like, I hate my family and I don't know how to solve these problems right now.
That's what I'm saying. Just let me know. I just thought it was going to be already kind of like unspoken that we'd probably stop by. Especially if you're not coming. But I'm going to make a green bean casserole.
That sounds good.
So, and I'm going to bring... So, for Thanksgiving, activities with our eldest, because for anyone who doesn't know, myself, my partner, we're gonna go hang out with him at one point, and so there's gonna be a roast, green bean casserole, I think some kind of baked mac and cheese, and deviled eggs, which that's the thing. That's one of the things that bees my knees during Thanksgiving. It's fucking I could devour some fucking devoiled eggs. So
yeah, people get mad at me when I go places and there's deviled eggs. They're like, leave some for everybody else. I'm like, no.
I'm like, no, fuck all of you. I'm like, egg, one, me. Num, 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 num.
They turned me into Satan, the egg Satan. Oh, deviled egg. Oh.
It was the devil. It entered my body and it felt good. Anyway, so
it speaks to me. Man, it's stinky. It smells like sulfur.
And mayo. So there's gonna be that green bean casserole. I think I already said that, but I'm just really passionate about the green bean casserole. And then my favorite fucking pie. First of all, before I announce it, what's your favorite fucking pie?
Female.
Awesome. Mine's Dutch apple. I love Dutch apple. It's like not just apple, Dutch apple. Like that shit. Knees bees.
I like that. Just awesome. Mine's Dutch apple. That's fucking great. Just pushed right past that.
I laugh because what that reminded me of. I don't know if you ever watched this fucking stupid. I think it was like a video or a fucking Vine back in the day, but it was like these two people talking and like they're like, "Hey, who do you think the prettiest person at school is?" And they're like, "The Epcot ball." And they're like, "Well," I was like, "Well, I think it's Michelle or whatever the hell." And then they turn back to the other person and they're just like fantasizing. They're like, "Epcot ball." I just thought that was always funny. But anyway, if you want to come, that's it though. I'm not gonna push him hard. Just gonna be like, if you want to do for the food and then it's skadoodle, there it is. Other than that, yeah, then more than likely the thing was that of seeing you after. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I wanted to do my own turkey and potatoes as always, but as of right now, it looks like it's might be a problem. So
Yeah.
just because I'm out all this weekend, which means I'm not going to get to the grocery store, and then I still have to make my pickle brine and all this other yada yada yada. And it's like, fuck, there's just not enough time. So we'll see.
Come over for a free meal.
Maybe.
I'll pick you up.
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, I'll leave it at that. We'll talk off next. But anyway, but yeah, you're right. Like, the holidays are hard. I feel like a lot of the things about the holidays that are difficult has to do with ultimately, like, in summary that I could think of, please, give me your thoughts, is like with the holidays, I feel like a lot of times people have to be around like their family systems and kind of like I'm thinking much more of like less of the extremes because of course there's going to be people that go around their family and there's abuse, neglect, there's just downright disregard and all these very extremes. But there's also just opportunity for like uncomfortable conversation, boundary crossing, fucking addiction, overuse, or like abuse more than anything because holidays is such a celebrated time for folks to engage in like
the alcohol.
The alcohol and like different various kind of substances and activities like between drinking or fucking people using and abusing like yeah, it's just in summary I think there's just a crossing like in summary that's what I think it's the crossing a boundary or the avoidance or ignoring of value during these times. So that's what I would summarize it as. But what are your thoughts on what can really amplify the spiral of mental health during the holidays?
Honestly, I think it's these damn fucking Salvation Army commercials and people like them. They can go fuck themselves. I hate that shit. It's like, hey, happy holidays. Do you want to feel like shit? Hey, look, this person's homeless, so I have to start coming.
You feel bad? You should feel bad.
Yeah, here, feel bad. It's the happiest time of the year. Feel bad. We don't want you to feel good. Feel bad.
Have you considered feeling bad?
Yeah, have you tried feeling bad? It's all the rage. Give us money and feel bad. That's basically what it is. They basically like they want you to feel so bad that they're like maybe like, and then when you donate money, like you get that boost of I don't feel bad anymore, and so that's how they get you. It's like gambling. Like if I put money into it, it'll make me feel better.
Oh man, that's just
yeah. So I'm glad they kind of shortened up the commercial for the Salvation Army lately. So now you just see the lady like pulling up to her house and her kid's like, "Mommy, why is all of our stuff outside?" And then it just like shows the mom crying. It doesn't really show her going up to the door and seeing the eviction notice anymore. So she just like gets in the car and drives off, and the police officer's like, "You can't be here, move it!" And then they have to go sleep somewhere else, and she's like crying. So in my head, I came up with my own like narrative of what happened. I was like, "Oh, I know what happened." And this could be what it is. Maybe it's not an eviction notice. You just see a paper up there. It could. I'm gonna assume that letter just said, "Hey, bitch, I found out you cheated on me, and that's not my kid. Get the fuck out." So it's like, dude got cheated on. He threw her out, changed the locks. It's not his kid. He's in there having a blast with his buddies, and she's like, "Oh my god, all my piss poor decisions are biting me in the ass." And I'm just like, sucks to suck. You should have thought better.
Do better.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
You made your bed, now sleep in it, and I just get a good chuckle every time I see that commercial now.
See, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker about the old Salvation Army. I won't say who, what, when, where, why, but
oh, I know who.
Wait, no, not that, but
Oh,
yes.
okay.
No, but you're right. But no, I actually did my practicum for them,
Your
with
what?
them. I did. So practicum means it's the time I was getting hours and getting experience while I was still in my grad program
Oh, okay.
and still in school.
Kind of like
And
an
so I worked,
internship.
yeah. And so I was working with them. And it's so funny because then, like, even where I currently work, there's folks that are there. There's like practicum students, so the people in their grad program and stuff, they would be like, they're coming to this location, like this is their first exposure to mental health and everything like that, working in mental health. And I'm like, yeah, welcome, blah blah blah, all these things, right? And they're like, oh, my first client is somebody that is living with like depression and anxiety, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I wonder how I can help. They're like, oh, this is really really hard. I don't even know how to maneuver this or go through this. They're like, how did you get through your first client? And then they looked at me and I'm like, well, my first client used to beat their wife, killed people, and ran or like and was a meth dealer.
And I lived with them for the first 18 years of my life.
No, that's not even talking about old papa. We're traumatized. So anyway, no, yeah, that was my first client. It was some person, which I can't give details of.
Obviously.
But but freaking, that was it. And then one of the ones after that threw, like, practically threw a table at me. And then I didn't like respond to that, and I was just like, I could really see that you're hurting, and then they fell apart crying. And so then when I looked at them, I'm like, yeah, sometimes it can feel pretty cookie. But the reason why I mention it because like being in that position, I could see how things kind of are like in the background of shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty nutty. Like, I can only speak on behalf of when I looked at it. Things are changing, technology's changing all the time and stuff like that. But it is definitely interesting, the concept and the approach that they go about it, and like what is going into the cause. So yeah, that's my whole point. Also, our papa was a part of the program. Here's the kicker: I did my graduate master's program at the one he was at.
Oh God.
And I was just laughing, and I was just like, oh, the apple not only fell very far from the tree, but it rolled away. So I thought it was just funny to me to kind of like bringing it all together.
That is pretty funny.
The holidays can be very like, I feel like what we're talking about kind of brings up this. It's this kind of whole point in South Park, which I will mention real quick, where like they were trying, the whole thing is the satire related to feeling bad about saying no at the
Cash
store.
register,
yeah, when they're asking if you'd like to make a donation, and like how far they'll go bad, like, oh, and there's like other various skits I've seen about this in different like comedies where they're like, oh, you'll pay 10 cents for the bag, but you won't give it to the chair. And I'm just like, the way that they monopolize on shame and guilt is so like, it's so awful to me. Like, I get it.
Terrible.
I get it, of course, about the concept of like supporting and like giving back. You're putting in to give back and kind of bringing people together and getting their support. But the angle to which that it's like executed is absolutely bonkers to me. In addition to that, because I don't want to speak on behalf of like the whole thing of the chicken or the egg of like, is that always been that way in order to get more to helping others, or was it that because they used other strategies to try to get help and they realized being, you know, more polite or, you know, more gentle about the approach wasn't getting it, so they've had to kind of graduate to this level. I don't know in regard to the chicken and egg approach, but it's just, for what it is, it's just kind of absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's bonkers, and I don't like that stuff. I mean, that's kind of the stuff like that is what I was dealing with today that kind of pissed me off, because I left work and there's a bunch of people standing at an intersection going from car to car going, hey, do you have any money? We're trying to raise money to help homeless people and like get them off drugs and all this. I was just like, no. And then I go to the massage therapy place, or the massage place, get my massage. That's the first time I ever paid for a massage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left there. I paid with a card, and they handed me my receipt. They're like, sign this. I was like, okay, $5 tip. There you go, whatever. And then like I handed her the receipt, and she gave me mine. She like looked at it, and then like made this sour face, and then looked at me. I was like, oh God, what? And then she was like, what does this say right here? And she pointed to the tip. I was like, that says $5. And she's like, oh, okay. And then that was it. And I was like, oh, great. Now I'm getting guilt tripped here. I didn't even, like, so I went home. I was like, is there a customary amount? And apparently it's 20%. I had no idea. So I got guilt tripped there. And then right after the massage place, went to the grocery store. On the way in, people were like, sign this petition for whatever. I was like, no, go away. And then I grabbed my food. I was inside the store for 3 minutes, walked back out, and there's the Salvation Army. Got any spare change? I was like, what is happening today? Why does everybody want free fucking money from me today? Go fuck yourself. I paid for what I came for. Leave me alone. I'm tired of all these fucking hidden fees. God
So
damn.
you know what? This is a great time to mention. I was gonna say, it's like, actually, I was wondering if you could donate to the stream. That'd be so fucked up.
Please
But no,
subscribe and join my Patreon. No, I'm kidding. I don't have either of those available.
I was gonna say, but yeah, no, I feel like it's just kind of, it's just ridiculous. Like, and I also didn't know that there was a customary thing when it comes to getting massage. I've never gotten a professional massage before. And like, that's what I was like thinking about. I was also thinking about the concept of like customary acts or like social constructs of like tipping. Like one of the things, like because I've been debating on getting a trim for my hair to help with growth and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want to go to where I went to before, because I went there to a big nice salon for once, because I never treated myself. Again, for any folks that try to come at me sideways, I'm not here for it. Like, I wanted the service, I paid for the service. And so I pay for the service and then give that tip, and but I still never know what is, like, quote, the appropriate amount to tip. I just don't know. Like, I've never known. And so when I was looking to get this trim, because I wasn't doing anything big and fancy like I did when I went to the big salon place, I just wanted a trim. I was looking at the local Supercuts. And when I was trying to find it, they don't broadcast they don't they don't show like their prices on their website. So I tried to find like if somebody can say like, hey, what the prices is.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was looking it up, then it said, and an additional this amount, because it's customary to do an additional 15% of whatever your haircut was. And I was like, who's making these numbers? Like, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. And is it a committee meeting and I'm not getting invited? I don't know. It's just so confusing to me.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like another one that really like bugs me is when you go to Starbucks and you get a coffee, and then like if you pay with card, and they're like, before it says confirm amount, it's like, how much tip do you want to add? It's like, you haven't given me anything yet. Why am I going to give you a tip up front when you could fuck up my coffee royally? And then it's like, oh great, now I'm out 18% on top of that. No,
I was like,
go fuck yourself. I don't give Starbucks tips.
what are your thoughts? Because there's like popping up these little kiosk areas in like malls where they're like, oh, you could just grab something and they don't need a human there to like check out stuff. It does it automatically, but it will still ask for a tip. And
Really?
I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, who? What? The machine? Yeah, like I don't fucking know anymore. I am bombastic side-eyeing at this point because I just don't fucking understand anymore.
Yeah, it's getting to a point where I'm just going to stop tipping everybody.
Like, no money, 5U.
Yeah.
So.
Like, how many are not giving out tips? Obviously, because, I'm just being fair at this point.
Nobody gets tips. That's fair.
Well, these people work their asses off, and they need to make ends meet. You're like, you know what? Go get a degree. That's what I'm doing. I hate my job, so I'm changing it. If I can do it, you can do it.
I was,
Watch me not do it.
I feel like that's again, these are all very valid pieces of like, what about this? Like, it's the thing is like, this is the macro levels I've been talking about, like that contribute to mental health. And it's like these factors, these kind of like these points that kind of just hurt and poke their fingers into shame and guilt that can reiterate a lot of like internalized pain and stuff like that are just very present right now. And it's just exhausting. Like, as much as folks are like, oh, the holidays are all spirit and fun. I'm like, maybe to you, but I very much doubt it for a lot of the majority. So that's just my thoughts so far.
It's not a good time from like most of my experiences. It's not great. Holidays suck.
Right now, I've been doing a lot of like holiday shopping for the Christmas times because whatever. And I wish there was a different name. Let's just be honest, it has nothing to do with religion at this point, but I digress. I've been doing all that, but the problem is that I keep getting sidetracked about stuff I want.
Yeah, you sound like me. I'm like, look at all this cool shit I can get for a really low price.
Like, I was looking at like some things I want, and once again, there's things that I do need. Like I do need a new laptop because I need a laptop for my job, and my laptop is crap. And because it's just kind of like a little like equivalence of a Chromebook kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So it just does the bare minimum which I need for my silly little job. But like, so that's the thing, and I need a new pair of shoes. So like, because once again, I'm getting a hole. I'm starting to get to that place where I'm getting the hole in my shoe. And I'm like, oh, it's time for a new shoe. But then I'm like, oh, should I invest in really nice shoes so that it could last for a long time, but also help me because I got fucked up feet. So that would be at least where I'm comfortable and I'm taking care of my feet and my physical health, because that could be really impactful too. Like shoes can impact physical health and blah, 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 all these things, right?
Yeah, you make a lot more than me. You should be investing in that stuff.
And so that's why I was like, oh, but as like I'm looking at, I'm also looking at other people's like gifts that I'm getting and so forth. And like I'm looking and then I'm like, oh, that would be nice. And I'm like, I'm there on Etsy, look, because I think Etsy is like the best place to this. No, not a sponsor. I think Etsy is such a great place in regards to trying to find trying to find like really particular like nerdy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of folks in my life that have particularly nerdy things that they're into.
Hello, blah.
One of them being like Magic the Gathering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like going on there's really cool sleeves for people who like to sleeve their cards. Please sleeve your cards. I judge you if you don't sleeve your cards. Anyway, and then there's really cool things in regards to like boxes to keep it together, and like there's proxy cards and like all these things, which again, if you're not familiar with Magic the Gathering is a card game. Proxy cards are ones that are not like official cards and are like customary and like made on their own. Anyway, the whole point is this, like all these things are like, oh, that's nice, but like again, in that like societal shame is like, this isn't like, at least from my experience, it's like, oh, you can't think of you this time or for the holidays, is to think about
What do you
others,
mean? What's
right?
your turn? If you have
At
any
least
mental
from
health
my
questions, you can just
perspective.
dump it in
And
chat and we'll
I
get to
feel
it.
like if that's just from what I'm going through myself, I can only imagine how kind of triggering and activating this time of year is for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's brutal. It's brutal.
In addition to just things that are apparently triggering and activating, I also like to mention about seasonal triggers. I know that I've mentioned it already earlier this time, but I talked about it in previous streams, but this is a very prime time for a much more generalized experience of seasonal triggers. Seasonal triggers are the experience for anyone that is jumping in or hearing this for the first time. Seasonal triggers are for when, like, sometimes there are triggers that just have to do with the time of the year, right? And whether it be like the weather, whether it just be like there was something that traumatic happened during a time of year, whether there's just an ongoing like amount of stress that will commonly happen for you during different periods of time or when certain things happen. And so there doesn't have to be much that triggers a system outside of just existing. Existing is triggering and activating. So it's like, especially during this time of year where you're around, like there's commonality of folks being around their family members and talking about uncomfortable topics, or like fighting, arguing, pain,
financial
shame,
burden,
guilt, financials, like there's just so much. So even of not even what's happening very apparently, also what's happening very much on the subconscious is happening right now. So like for me, I will say is that seasonal triggers for me, like an example outside of the holidays for a long time was my birthday. There was always something awful happening around my birthday. And so whenever my birthday would come around, I just didn't have excitement to celebrate it. But I also realized it was my responsibility to change the relationship that I had with my birthday in order to decrease the discomfort that is associated with my birthday. So now I'm actually excited for my birthday. Because I've gone on little adventures with that. I've gone to museums and I've like done shit during those times to like change the relationship, and now things are a lot better. So do you relate to seasonal triggers yourself?
Oh yeah, especially because like this time of year is when it's not as sunlight for as long, so that lack of vitamin D,
That's true,
especially with school being buried inside with doing my homework, and then I have to go get buried inside at school and buried inside at work, and then by the time I'm able to go outside it's dark, and then that physically makes me feel like garbage and mentally.
yeah.
And then like the whole holidays thing, just everyone's usually off doing something like with their family or whatever, and I'm just sitting around like, yep, sitting inside again. Now that I have a break from school and work, what am I going to do? take a break from sitting inside by sitting inside.
Well,
So,
you're always welcome to hang out.
mm-hmm.
I get it though. It's hard. Like it's just hard. I get it.
It is.
It's just like there's just so much at this time of year, and that's why at this point I'm just like, can we just as a whole just I don't know, spread out the holidays or put them somewhere else? I don't fucking know. Why is it gotta be now?
Put them in the charity bin.
Put it in the Salvation Army
Yeah,
change
let
jar.
them deal with it.
Like, hello, I will give you one holiday.
One sadness, please.
Like, oh, 3 depressions in this economy? It's like, well, it is inflation. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, big ones, like, especially even when I did actually have friends to hang out with, like, the holidays would come around and they'd usually hang out with their family. I mean, but that was, like, the one thing I did enjoy about the holidays was getting people gifts, but now I'm fucking broke, so can't do that anymore. Because that's
Shit.
more fun for me.
Getting other people gifts?
Yeah. Because
I definitely get
like when you watch
that.
people go, "Oh, what the fuck? How'd you find this?" or whatever.
Oh yeah, that is a fun little experience. That's true. I've been debating on like how to go about it. I literally am just like, I'd rather just get folks like a big gift if I can and just call it a day. I do not do well with like getting gifts because the whole time I overthink about what people really want. And then because again, I don't feel like the gifts are for me. So if it was my choice, I would just be like, oh, here's something that you moderately like, blah blah blah. But again, is that considering what they want? Is this about me, more about them? And it's just like, oh my god, this internalized messages that come with like gift giving sometimes, at least for me, is like ridiculous. And also about how I'm supposed to respond if I'm giving gifts. Like I almost feel like there's a performance that has to be done in order to meet an expectation of how I was supposed to respond to receiving a gift.
And the environment you're in.
And the environment of it.
Because
right?
that's one of my things. It's like, if you're going to open gifts around, like, with people, it's just like, get to the place you need to be. Make them fucking open it while they're still in a good mood. Because, you know, with our family, you know, it's always like, nope, you gotta wait for mom to show up, and then she'll like, I'll be there at 7, you know. Then like noon 45 rolls around, she's like, well, I couldn't find my shoelaces. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I want to go home now. Like, I'm pissed off. Aren't you gonna open your gifts? Yeah, cool, thanks. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I would have been more happy in a good mood. I'm fucking leaving. You ungrateful prick. Oh jeez, here we go.
And there it is.
Yeah.
That being said, your mother is not gonna be there this year.
She's not?
I mean, I know she's coming into town at some point in the December times, because for anyone who doesn't know, she lives out of state. But I don't think she's coming at the holiday time. I think she's coming a little bit before that. Let me see if I still have the message. She said, yeah, no, she's coming at the beginning of the month, but not on the actual day of the holidays.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
if I throw myself in front of a bus now, then she'll be perfectly in time for my funeral.
I'm shaming you so that you can't do that.
Damn it. Yeah.
Here's open wide. Here's some shame.
I got shamed yesterday for that kind of crap.
What?
Or not that.
You get shamed for?
I got shamed for some other shit. Actually, I don't even know if you want to call it shamed, but
Well, define as shame. Like, I know we've been throwing around the statement, but like, what is shame?
guilt? No,
No,
not guilt.
that's a
That's
really
not.
good point because guilt and shame are two separate
Yeah,
things.
that's not the word I wanted. Regret?
I think. Hold on, I'm yawning. I think shame is like a negative belief towards self.
There you go.
As interpreted by the view of others. Or through the lens of others, right? So I would say, and like guilt is like behaviors that are not as accepted. And so I would summarize it that guilt is I did something bad, and shame is I am bad. And again, I think once again that's the important piece with them is like it is in interpretation of what other people believe is defines quote badness or like less than as a whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so keeping that in mind, what'd you do the other day?
It's not something that I did. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna say it's not something I did because I don't want to
Okay.
get down too technical. So this was it yesterday? I don't know. All the days are blurring together due to my no sleep. Yeah, it had to be yesterday. So after I was done with school, I was inside the math center, and I was sitting at my table doing work, and this one girl that's in my class that I've kind of got a thing for, we just talked about her before. She ends up coming in, sitting at the same table. She's like doing some work, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then she had to leave to drive home because she lives pretty far away and it was really rainy. And she was like, I don't want to end up driving home on those roads in the dark, in the rain. I'm going to take off early. I was like, that's a smart move. And she was like, all right, cool. And I was like, all right, well, I'll see you later. And she was like, all right, well, hope you have a good time off. I was like, yeah, you too. I was like, I'd get up and hug you, or I said I would give you a hug, but I don't want to stand up. So she came over and gave me a hug, and I was like, oh, that's very nice of her. And then she left. And like, I'd never hugged her before or whatever. She seems like one of those people that doesn't want to get close to people kind of deal. She seems like not very touchy. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised she did that. And so then I was like hanging out and I was talking to Eggy. I was like, oh, that girl was like, she gave me a hug. I was like, man, that was really nice. And then Eggy's just like, see, this is your problem. And she's like, nothing's going to work out with that person, and yet you still like do that right there. I was like, they came over to me. I was like, I like how I had a little bit of joy in my life for 2 seconds, and you're like, that's your problem. I'm like, okay, thanks for ripping that away from me. I felt bad for feeling good.
They did that. That felt nice. But again, that's up to if that is like, is this something worth giving away? Because it's like, does it still feel good to you? Like, and that being enough, right? I get it. I understand about like the guilt piece of that. But I don't think it was bad, at least subjectively, my perspective, to be excited that happened.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That's what she's like. See, you should like. She's like, see, there's your problem. You know it's not going to happen, but you still are like pursuing things like that. I was like, she came over to me.
Yeah, and that's what the whole thing I was trying to say is that like, if that's like, again, despite things happening or not happening or anything like that, it's more so of like, this is still a nice moment,
Yeah.
So, and that's okay to just accept that for what it is.
Yeah, and I try to, but it's just, I don't know.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's
not
hard.
easy. because you're trying to change a lot of different things in different relationships with feelings and stuff like that. It's not easy. It's not something that just happens overnight, you know?
Yeah, it's really tough because now it's like, should I not even share this kind of information anymore?
You can.
I don't know, because it seems to go on a loop where it's like, if I'm in a bad mood, people are like, see, this is why XYZ it happens, because you're always so pissy. And then when something good happens and I, broadcast it, they're like, you need to knock that shit off. I'm like, well, which one is it? I'm not allowed to be in a good mood. I'm not allowed to be in a bad mood. Like, what the fuck?
Well, that's, again, allowed. But it's like, who has the power to allow it?
Society.
Is it given to them? Or is it given from self? And is self enough? Right? Like, I don't give a shit about bragging about myself anymore. I used to be so self-conscious about it because I was like, oh, it's shameful to be braggy, or it's pride and womp womp and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, I am proud of myself.
Yeah.
Like,
hello, Wookie. And hello, Aggie. Speak of the devil.
Okay, hi y'all. Let me really make this clear then. The people that are here.
Wookie, you're on the wrong side of the microphone here.
Wookie is not feeling well, so Wookie's
taking
care of himself. So
I thought that was a last week thing.
No, well, it's that time of year. Like,
gotcha.
And yeah. So anyway, that being said, long story short,
he says he's sick. And then Aggie says, yes, you did do something. Or you did come up today, sorry.
Like, I think ultimately a lot of times people are hypercritical of others and what they expect from others because they're hypercritical of self, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I feel like there's a lot of societal shame, guilt that's reinforced not just by the trauma that we went through when we were younger, but what's reinforced by our peers and our the people around us. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. If there's something that makes you feel good, honestly, fuck it. Like, lean into it, because if you're gonna get the mixed signals anyway of what should be good and what should not be good, at least lean into the consistency that you can give that to yourself and know where the genuineness of where it's coming from. Like, people are hard to read all the fucking time. I've had to struggle and work on that for so goddamn long, to the point where it's like, I very much have made it clear that if I trust, it has to meet these kind of pieces. Not that it's like, and I don't even think these points of my trust are too difficult to kind of meet. And I feel like, again, the people that are closest to me are keeping in mind my fucking happiness, because I keep their happiness in mind too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but happiness isn't about what I think is happy. It's about what's happiness for them, right? It's like, who am I to dictate what is good and fine for others, right?
Right.
Like, what makes me happy? Like, if you and I got into this in-depth conversation about Lord of the Rings and lore and Tolkien and all these things, that shit, I would be so happy. Like, everything else would melt away around me. Like, that shit that makes me happy. But if someone comes around me and shits on me for loving Lord of the Rings, that's just not my person. Like, your intention isn't keeping me in mind, and then you expect me to exert my energy to keep you in mind. That's not how this works. You could go find other people.
Right. Well, Aggie says, I may not have said it properly or could have definitely said it better, but it comes from a place of care for you and worry about repeated patterns. I don't know how to word it properly.
I think that's also the thing that's really difficult, is because people get really hung up on wording, but the thing is, like, about intent versus impact. Right? And I'm not here to shit on Aggie. I can know the trust is knowing that Aggie means well. Right?
Oh, I get that.
that, and what you're left with when you know someone's intentions mean well and you still feel hurt or you feel some kind of way because of what somebody has said is still your responsibility to kind of communicate, because a lot of times people think that you must assume, or people assume how to talk to you, but everyone interprets respect and intent and care all so subjectively that that's why we talk about boundaries, because you need to teach people how you want to be treated, right? So if these kinds of things hurtful for you, you got to talk about it. Like, you have to like communicate it, or kind of like even get the clarity, like, of saying, hey, I feel like I know that your intentions were good. This is the impact I have of it. Is it cool if we talk about it? That is like one of the pieces when it comes to me and trust that is really important, which is called is generosity. Like, the generosity I give to others and what I ask from other people is that despite us being in the same room together or being separate rooms, that you have my best intention in mind, I have your best intention in mind, and if there's information about them that they're saying something about me and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be, that I extend my generosity to come talk to you rather than just assuming somebody else's word is word of truth, like it, and like that there's no question about it. If I'm giving genuine trust to somebody else, not pseudo trust or fake trust. What are your thoughts?
No, I get it. I mean, I voiced my opinion on the matter in the moment, but I know her and I were both in a bad mood, so I don't know how that was. I don't remember exactly how I said it or how it was even received, but yeah.
Well, now that you're like talking about it more, like what kind of insight do you feel like you're getting from it about you and your pain as it like gets pulled from these types of comments?
What am I learning about? I don't know. It's hard to tell because I'm still tired. It's not so much that it was something being directed at me. Again, it's just one of those situations where it's like something happened that I enjoyed, and other people, whether they had my best intentions in mind or not or whatever, let's just assume they do. They're like, hey, I'm trying to help here. It still sucks at the fact that what had happened, something that I enjoyed, is essentially bad for me. So then I have to sit there and go, okay, this is bad for you, so you need to stop enjoying that kind of stuff. Kind of like heroin. It's great, I assume. I don't know, I haven't had it. But based on how it ruins people's lives, that's why I feel like all these scenarios are. I'm like, this feels nice. And people are like, stop it. All right, great. I was happy for a moment. But, yeah.
I think this is just gonna be once again like the really deep piece. And either it's going to take like focused work at a professional level to manage, or this is just gonna take time to change in the relationship with. Because I feel it with you. I honestly was in a position where I used to get really hurt by what people said a lot of the times. Because of the background and the upbringing of such a lack of clarity and predictability in people's intentions versus their behavior. So it's going to take a lot of unlearning. But ultimately, if this is something that made you feel happy, I still want to reiterate that you get to just keep it. Like, you don't have to give it away. And you don't have to rely on others to say to keep it or not keep it, despite intent, despite impact. And I get it about the whole heroin piece and so forth, but it's like everything's like, even too much of a good thing can be bad. Like, there's people that can just use heroin once once in a while, and like it's just a silly little time. Like, it's trickier with chemicals and everything like that because of mental breakup or like makeup and everything like that. So I'm not gonna go to that extreme.
Like brain chemicals, like dopamine and.
I'm saying about chemical substances that alter brain chemistry that is already established. Not that it's like you're trying to say like, oh, it's like it's all in your head. It's like, yeah, that's where it's all at. I don't know what else to tell you.
That's where everything is.
But no, it's like, yeah.
Eggy says, I will say I was not only stressed with exams, but also hadn't eaten all day, so I was a massive bitch. And I'm sorry about that, but I did distract from your happiness in the moment. And for that, I'm sorry. You have every right to enjoy what happened, and you should. I'm just concerned about long-term effects, I guess.
Yeah. So it's like, and that's the thing. This is just human shit. Like, first of all, Eggy, you're like the furthest thing from being a bitch ever. Like, I've met bitches.
She's not a bitch.
She's not a bitch.
She can be bitchy, but she's not a bitch.
But everyone can be bitchy, but yes. You're not adopting the name and the message of bitch,
correct,
as a characteristic of you, because that's just not true. And we're not doing that just to kind of like take away Kilted's discomfort, because that's his, right? Like, that's the thing. It's like, we are always playing off of each other because we're fucking humans. Like, we will intentionally hurt. We will intentionally and unintentionally hurt. We will project our pains. We will do these things. But the difference between all of that is like, can we find people that are safe and trustworthy enough to do that, and they still keep the best intention of us in mind, knowing that we make mistakes. Perfectionism doesn't exist. We will never be able to never cause harm. We cause harm by existing. So let's fucking get over it, in my opinion. And those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. Like, it's going to hurt, but people that care are willing to talk and change the relationship. And from there is actually healthy growth. I know for a lot of generational trauma that many of us have gone through, that doesn't seem like that's possible, or that's really difficult to do, because we've come from fucking generations of folks that would internalize pain and then engage in avoidance or like put downs or harm to a very severe degree. But the thing is that we can talk about it. We can talk about it, and people can still be accepting of us. Like, for instance, I'm not going to say too much because that's between me and my partner, but I am going to mention something. Is that there are times between me and my partner that we have the best intentions for one another, but because of our generational trauma, we get so caught in our heads between wanting to show up the best that we can for the other individual, making very basic common mistakes with one another, and then mentally preparing for the pain or the execution of being hurt because of those in our past that have given it to us, that sometimes it may try to cause distance between one another. But what actually helps us, at least why I think my relationship works so great with my partner, and yes, I'm bragging and I don't care about it, is that we always come back to each other and we find each other. And I was like, no matter what, I love you to not hurt alone. Like, that's not fair. And that's healing from generational trauma that is so far past our parents, because our parents, it didn't start with them, didn't start with their grandparents, didn't start with our great grandparents. It is so far back that we're not just healing from the things that have been projected to us, but the things that have been normalized and unaddressed in generational pain far beyond comprehension. So as much as people are like, oh, I should have it all together, I'm going to tell you that you are doing the actual best that you genuinely could, because you are doing the best with what you genuinely have. Give yourself a fucking break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, being a human is fucking hard. It is like, if it was easy, everyone would stick around. It's so hard. Sometimes people are like, I'm just gonna head out early. It just it happens. It's not easy. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of things against our control. There's so much shit happening on such a micro level, a closer macro level, and such a macro piece on a societal factor that is completely out of our control, that all we think is that we must do is try to find some pseudo form of control by internalizing it and taking the blame of everything, so that we can feel a sense of control in a situation that doesn't have control. Here's the fucking kicker: there is a lot of things that we don't have control of. So if I think one of the best things that's ever helped me maintain sanity in the best way that I can, as one of billions and trillions of humans that's ever existed ever, is the concept of the Serenity Prayer. And again, this doesn't have to be for any religious background. I know it's derived in religion, but I like the non-denominational, I think that's the term, piece of it, where it says, a power greater than myself, grant me the serenity, the peace, the fucking like sanity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Like, and the things that you can control is you, your perspective, and your emotions to the best of your ability. And that's it, truly. But the circumstances of the world, people's emotions, people's behaviors, things that are happening, those are outside of your control. And as soon as you really capture the difference between the two, you can get closer to peace, in my opinion.
And I'm trying.
You're doing a really Listen, with the fucking cards that you have been given, you are doing a fantastic job. I don't care what the self-critic part of you tries to tell you. I don't care what people externally outside of you have to say. I just don't give a shit. Like, I know and I trust that you are doing the best that you can with what you got.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying. Still feels like it. I don't know. Do you ever feel like you could be doing more, but then you don't know if you could actually do more? Like, you should be doing more, but you don't know if you can, but you probably think you could because you probably should.
I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. I used to. I did for a long, long time. But I had to keep asking myself, to whose standards? And I never got, like, and I would always say, like, well, it's my standards. Of course it's my standards. And I was like, but who gave me those standards? Where did I adopt those standards? And I went on this giant journey related to that. And I'm like, do you know what I want? Contentness. I just want enough. But that means I have to accept whatever enough is. And I will say that there are times where it's like, I want to do more so that there's less pain and discomfort in my life, but not because I need to meet an expectation anymore. That kind of broken me in the last couple of months. but it took a lot of vulnerability to get to that place, and a lot of breakdowns and a lot of questioning of life and existentialness. But yeah, I feel sorry, I got a message and it distracted me. I'll get back to that message. But I will say that the question is this: what do you want for you?
In terms of what?
In regards to your life.
I don't know. Bigger house, more more comfort. Someone who's there, friends, a partner, crap like that.
And then I would just say, then like the contentness of just allowing that natural journey to occur, sure, but to continue to beat yourself up because it's not being achieved, it doesn't achieve anything. If shame was effective in changing our life, we would all be healed by now.
But it can be effective.
It is a temporary form of motivation that ultimately has a plethora of negative consequences that outweigh it. We are just so accustomed to those negative consequences that we don't see it as so.
Oh, because I got fat shamed into losing weight.
Sure, that's all great and dandy. Then it's like, but what helps maintain it is because you value enough of self to keep it off, right? It's like the same thing of like fear. It's like there's people that are so fearful of going to jail or their their partner leaving them that they're like, I'll change everything, or I'll stop engaging in addiction or anything like that. But what happens when the shame stops? What happens when the fear passes? Because those are just feelings. It's like it then goes to a place of it being maintained comes from a very active, self-driven place. And how can you tell the difference of it being shame or not? Is the intention. Like, is it for others? Is it for self? And if you can't answer that question, that's where I encourage you to do your work on.
Okay.
Yeah. So, being a human is exhausting. That's all I gotta say. I know that for sure.
You're telling me. I'm already ready for bed. Jeez. This week's has been exhausting with exams and everything. But at least I'm done with that crap now, and I'm all done with my homework for now, and I get the whole next week off, kinda.
Yay!
Let me rephrase that. I have to work my ass off this weekend, and then I have to go to work next weekend, and then I have to deal with the family on Thanksgiving, and then go Black Friday shopping on Friday.
Damn it!
I just don't have to do homework.
Hey, that's so lovely. And not having to do homework, like, I do not miss homework. Homework fucking mentally wrecked me. The method I found worked out for me to doing homework is just absolutely bonkers. Like,
yes, Eggy, I'm coming Friday. Not tomorrow, but next Friday.
Oh, you're going Black Friday shopping with Eggy?
Yeah.
Then yeah, that shit is like, I hope you get to just be at the same time, like at some point. I hope peace for you. You are just a stressed mess that's depressed, dude.
Yeah. Is your microphone in a pillow or something?
Yeah, it is, because I'm in pillow world.
Welcome to Pillow World, bruh.
Let me get up and greet ya.
There we are.
Where are y'all Black Friday shopping?
I want to hit the Smokely store.
The Smokely store, got it.
And pretty much everything in that shopping center,
The one that you always go to?
Yeah, that's where all the good stuff is, and they have great deals. How do you think I got 2 pairs of Asics for under $80 last year?
That's fair. I'm gonna go to the one closer to me because I found a nerdy shop there that I didn't know was so close to me. So I was like, oh fuck yeah, I'm going there on that day and getting all the gifts and be like, you all better be happy. This is what you're getting.
Ho ho ho! Let me. What does Peter say? Is like Merry Christmas to all. To all, shut the hell up.
Ah, for real. Leave me the fuck alone. So yeah. I hope for the best of your sanity to get through all this, dude. And to everyone listening, because the holidays are just fucking difficult.
Yeah, Aggie's going to be in the Netherlands for Christmas.
Oh, that's lovely.
She's going to be dealing with what the hell they call it, freaking Wunderslausch or whatever.
Cramps?
Be celebrated by fucking by Krampus.
It's my Lord and Savior. Well, I hope that you're safe, Iggy, on your adventures. And that you don't get stuck on an airport and everything like that, because that shit sucks.
Nah, I think she's gonna be there. She's going out there as soon as like the 2 days after the semester's over, so she'll be there like a couple weeks before Christmas.
It's beginning to look a lot like fuck this. I hope that you have a safe journey, nonetheless. And I don't know. I feel like something that I'm gonna actually take out of your book is like I think that it's getting to that place of like investing into others who have invested into me. I just don't have time to keep exerting my energy anymore for folks that just aren't showing up. Like I don't chase folks anymore. I don't chase down friendship. I don't chase down relationships. I just don't anymore. I'm too tired. I'm too like worn down. And so I need the energy that is given to me.
Hello, Michaela.
And I even was like, and that's still something I'm practicing because there's times like, especially because of ADHD brain, I'll get hyper fixated on some folks of like, and getting really excited of like connection and, friendship and stuff like that. And also my own attachment, connections and so forth.
A wizard is never late, nor are they
I'm
early.
not with it, and it's like I have to like instead like I used to get really upset. It's like, but I'm giving so much energy to this individual, but after doing so much work, I have to be like, but am I setting an expectation of how I would like them to arrive, and am I letting myself down and not seeing how they're realistically showing up?
You know,
that was hard.
That brings up the whole. Exactly, a wizard arrives right when they intend to. But I was gonna say the whole thing is, so ever since you've brought that up, like however long ago, the first time I heard it, am I like putting myself out there, expecting the same results in return, kind of deal?
Oh yeah.
So that is always, well, at least in my head, ever since I heard that, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but it really questions the whole statement, treat others the way that you expect to be treated.
Yeah.
Because if I treat someone the way I expect to be treated, and then they don't, it's like, then why should I treat them like that then? Because it's exhausting.
I feel like the golden rule in a social way is too black and white. I feel like these types of like concepts or things that are like people want like these easy little whatevers to kind of like rely on. It's like treat those how you want to be treated is also like it also is like missing out on the piece of like about like acceptance of treatment though, like, and it's missing on the concept of like what does that mean, and are you overexerting, are you expecting more, are they underexerting, and how are you going to reflect on how they're showing up? Like, for instance, I'm trying to be mindful in the case of who might be listening of this, but whatever. The whole point is this. I was kind of like developing on or like a friendship earlier this year. And I was starting to get pretty upset in like how much I was showing up versus them showing up.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was talking to my partner about this, and then it was like an eye opener for me of like, just because I start getting excited about these like these emotional mental check marks with certain folks doesn't mean that it's the same way that it's hitting for them and how their connection with me.
Right.
And it's like, and so I had to I feel like it's just that because humans are so gray, in such a gray area of how like we connect and what we identify as connection and so forth, that it's just like it's ongoing evaluation. Nobody is guaranteed to be in your life. And the most consistent thing about being alive is inconsistency, in my opinion. So it's like, if somebody wants to be there, awesome. If they want to go, such as it is at this point, I've experienced so much personal loss in my life that like I'm just at this point thankful whoever wants to hang out and be near me. And if they would need to go somewhere else in their life, thanks for the honor of crossing paths when you did at this point. And it reminds me of this lyric by Rise Against that says, it says, I've got some friends, some that I hardly know, and we've had some times that wouldn't trade for the world. It's like there's some people that are just, they just pass by. They're just passengers. That's all any of us are. So right. I think it's about being realistic about like how we want people to be in relation to us. And yes, losing people is going to hurt because that's just existing. But if we try to avoid it or we try to overexert it in these extremes, it's like the only person that's going to keep getting hurt is us, and that I just don't think that's fair.
Which song, Iggy? So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
Life is soup and I am a fork.
Making friends is hard.
Making friends is hard. Being vulnerable is hard. Yeah.
Eggy says she likes that song you were talking about.
Oh yeah, it's a good song. It's my partner's favorite band and one of my best friend's favorite bands. Which it was so great because they were in town at one point, and I took my partner to it for our anniversary gift, I think. The concert, and then I told my best friend, he's like, I've been in your life all this time and you didn't take me to this concert, but this guy you've known for this amount of time and he gets to go. He's like, shame, I'm crossing my arms. I thought that was just funny. Funny. So yeah, that's all I could think of right now. Is there any questions, comments, concerns coming from the chat, or what you want to talk about? Otherwise, I'm just lounging right now.
Is there anything, chat, that you want to discuss? Let's see. I had questions about just stuff I've written down from last time.
Okay.
Let's see. You mentioned something. I wanted to get more of a clear answer on what you meant by, let's say, because you were saying that you had some stuff going on, I don't like whatever, and you went and saw your therapist, and your therapist really made you, quote, as you say, feel a feeling. Like you're like I had to feel those feelings. Like what does that
Yeah.
mean?
So, yeah. Shout out to my therapist. I will shout her out anytime. The plug is my therapist because she's great. Um, well, I feel, how do I go into this one? Okay, first of all, I know we talked about it before. I'll say it again, just for anyone that is new and anyone that is old. But I will start off by asking you this. Do you know that there is a difference between emotions and feelings?
Yay.
What is the difference between emotions and feelings?
You can control your feelings. No.
No,
You can control your emotions, not your feelings.
no.
Then I don't know. I don't fucking remember.
That's okay. So, hold on. I have to turn. Like, I gotta get
Feelings
crispy
don't
on-
make sense.
Okay, now we're getting closer. So emotions or emoting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the physiological response as a result of stimuli, whether the stimuli is coming from an internal source or an external source, right? So emotions can be a plethora of different combinations that happen to which we put a label on an experience, and then in that label and experiencing and sitting with is a feeling. So the feeling is the active awareness of what's occurring, putting a label on it and experiencing it, right? So for instance, if I asked you, or if I give you the following pieces of information of emotion, you tell me what you think is what is the feeling, okay? Um, hand clenching, stomach tightness, increased heart palpitation.
The fist clenched tight.
No. That combination of what I gave you, what would you equate to a feeling? Or a labeled feeling?
Anger.
Anger, right?
Yeah.
So that's the difference. The thing is that hand clenching, stomach tightness, heart palpitations could be a variety of different things. It could be anger, it could be anxiety, it could be frustration, it could be fear, it could be many things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, what equates what it is what we uniquely call it and label it. And when we sit there and experience it, that is us feeling our feelings, right? And so many times people maneuver through the world, and because especially as a result of trauma, they don't know what they're feeling. They just keep on reacting to stimuli, because the memory part, the emotion part, and the trauma part of our brains are all in the same area. It's all in our limbic system. Right? And so many times people just react to the world, both internally and externally. And when they happens where they don't have a conscious awareness to understanding what they're feeling or understand why they consider that they're feeling, they may feel like they're not in control of their body, or that things just keep hijacking them, right? So for instance, I like to use this example. By chance, what is your relationship with the concept of getting butterflies in your stomach?
It can go all sorts of ways.
Tell me about them.
Like if you're really excited about something, you get butterflies, or if you're nervous about something, you get butterflies. If you're angry, like like I
You
guess
have
it's
romantic feelings.
yeah, like it seems like a fight or flight response.
So all butterflies in your stomach can be connected to anxiety. Okay.
Okay.
Because there's a lack of security of or a lack of trust in understanding or a predictability, right? But I like to use the examples of butterflies in your stomach because people who are pulled to romantic relationships, I've heard people say, oh, I love when I get butterflies in my stomach. And when I get all teethy giddy about somebody, right? Kicking your little silly little feet up, twirling your hair, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
But, and they're like, oh, and I hear them like, I like that feeling, right? I'm like, that's anxiety. That can be an example of anxiety. And it's like, do you like anxiety? And I've heard people like, no, I don't like anxiety. It's like, so what is the difference? If these are commonalities to the experience of anxiety, what is the difference between you liking it and you not liking it? Is your relationship to how it is to feel it and experience it and what you associate with it, right? So feeling your feelings is where you develop a trust of self, or in your developing trust of self, if you're not even at that part of your journey, is to be okay with however you define what experiences you're going through and just sitting there with it without attempting to avoid, undermine, disregard, kind of stepping away from it, that you just stay right fucking there with it, without trying to create a barrier or wedge away from it, and you sit with it at a very raw level. That's my feeling of your feelings. And I have been someone that has been notorious of avoiding how I felt for a long time because I associated feeling feelings as a lack of safety. It doesn't feel safe to feel my feelings because I've been exposed to environments that I was disregarded when, or like I was like attachment wise, the whole attachment versus authenticity. Authenticity is feeling your feelings, but if attachment threatens your ability to feel your feelings, attachment will always win, because attachment is connected to community and community is connected to safety, right? And feelings, it's so hard in itself because authenticity is also a feeling, because it's the authenticity to the true connection of self and like our gut feelings and our intuition. But what if we've been chronically exposed to environments that did not allow us to develop the relationship with self and the relationship with others? We will experience disconnect, and we may struggle to understand what it means to feel our feelings. And for a plethora of people that has personality disorders, is because they have experienced chronic attachment wounds that have created a barrier between their authenticity and their attachment.
Okay.
So feeling your feelings means if you are having these signs that you see are being picked up on your body, then putting a label with it and then actively just sitting there and experiencing it without trying to avoid it or undermine it or neglect it is the experience of feeling your feelings, in my perspective.
Gotcha. Because, all right, yeah, I'm gonna have to try that next time I have an exam.
Because we always want to avoid it. We want, and there's a plethora. Like, I want to take this, and I'm going to call out some people. So if the shoe fits, lace that bitch up, whoever's listening. We don't just avoid feelings by very obvious ways, such as like engaging in substances, um, freaking engaging in physical or like behavioral addictions. We avoid by doing stuff like undermining our emotions or trying to use rationale to get out of it. It's like, well, I shouldn't feel this way because I have to do something soon, or like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way because somebody has it worse. Who cares if somebody has it worse? You're going through it,
Right.
and that's enough. That period. I am so tired. I'm like literally as a therapist, I am so tired of this one. They're like, well, people have it worse. It's like, and there's people that have it better. Who fucking cares? Like, in the competition of trauma versus trauma, everybody loses. So why are we playing this stupid fucking trauma Olympics? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't play
Like,
that game with people.
it's like everybody. It's like, because it doesn't matter about the event and the severity of the event. It's about the pain that you still have to carry, and your pain is very similar to what other people feel, right? Despite if they're aware of it or not. So, disregarding, trying to use rationale to get out of it, thinking it's like, well, they did the best that they could. That's rational mind. Who cares if they could have done that was the best that they could? You still feel hurt. You still feel this way. Like, that's it. Period. The end. Or it's like, I didn't get a chance to feel these things because I never got this environment to do so. Well, develop the environment now. Find ways to find the environment. Smoking weed, that like gets in the way of sitting with your feelings. I don't care who, what, when, where, why about the benefits of weed. Like, I cannot emphasize this more than anything, especially where coming from a place where engaging in cannabis use is so like normalized and like is socially acceptable. And alcohol too is like, it in the long term will inhibit your emotional connection, especially how chronically you may be engaging in cannabis, and it will exacerbate symptoms related to depression and anxiety. It will become the thing that you are trying to get away from to begin with. Okay? So, sitting and feeling your feelings is that when you're going through these experiences, don't get on your phone, don't call anybody, just sit there.
Okay.
And just see what comes up for you. And many times people, and again, I don't advise that for everybody, because sometimes your feelings can be so intense that it may push you to really extensive ways in order to get out of that, such as self-harm, suicide, substance use to the point of like potential overdose and so forth. So be cautious if you are in an extreme place where that is too dangerous, because the equivalence of like sitting with your emotions when you're not ready to, it can be life-threatening. Just be mindful of where you're at, and if it's too much, be able to make sure you have a plan to have somebody on speed dial, have a social person, find a distraction, step away from the situation so it doesn't go too far, especially if your body's not ready for it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep that in mind. Just sit with it. I think I do that pretty well enough as it is. But let's see. Eggy had something she wanted to say.
Okay.
She said, so ... my therapist told me I have toxic stress. Is this something you've heard of? She also mentioned using biofeedback or something to help correct the brain chemistry going on.
Oh my god, yes! Biofeedback is so crucial. Eggy, I could kiss you with consent, because oh my god, yes, biofeedback is so fucking important, because many times people think that you can rationalize yourself into like for things changing in you. It just doesn't work. Biofeedback is a type of process where it's like you need to retrain your nervous system and the signals between your nervous system and your brain to better execute and allocate your energy in management of stress and pain and so forth, because your brain can't tell the difference of the rationale to you being in your trauma or not being in your trauma. It just receives the same signals and responds accordingly to keeping yourself safe, but it may be doing it such a disproportionate way where it actually can be killing you slowly. Anyway, that's a whole separate topic.
Well,
But
what is toxic stress?
toxic stress is the concept related to when you may be exposing to too much stress where it's killing you. So, for instance, the thing is that the body is the body needs stress to function. As much as people are like, "Oh, I can never like I'd never want to feel stress again," right? The stress is needed in order to move, in order to be motivated, in order to whatever, right? But the thing is that with toxic stress, it's when you are exposed to prolonged, high frequent uh, exposures to environments that continuously set off fight or flight chemicals to your body that can start killing you from the inside out. So there are two different types of stress. I always mess up one of the terms, so whatever pronunciation is something I just struggle with sometimes. There is distress and eustress. What do you think is the difference between eustress and eustress and distress?
One's called use stress.
Yeah, it's called eustress, and there's distress.
Distress is like a physical stress, and eustress is a mental stress.
Okay. I appreciate you giving a good go, and this is where I'll say the difference between the two is that distress is equated to a negative, that it's a negative of self, or a negative, that it's not that it's negative as in bad, but that negative in that it takes away from. So distress is like the taking away of like physical and mental sanity in itself, because what it's doing is that it's being exposed to like chronic misfortune or pain, anxiety, self affliction or affliction from others that take away from you, right? Whereas eustress is the kind of natural amount of stress or physiological stress that can be beneficial. So eustress adds to benefit, distress takes away from benefit, right? And so the thing is that if we're kind of thinking about biofeedback for a second, I'm going to do the very simplistic version of this conversation of saying it like this. Imagine stress in our body like a bucket of water. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that in order for a bucket to be a bucket, it needs to have something inside of it in order to be filled, right? And
Right.
so it serves its purpose, right? And we as humans need stress that's beneficial for us to be able to move and function in the world, right? Well, the thing is that we need a certain amount of water in our buckets, right? But The problem is that sometimes we may be so exposed to too much stress or water that it overfills the bucket, right? And the moment that water is overfilled in our bucket and pouring out of our bucket, our body sends signals to everywhere that says, do whatever you need to in order to decrease the water in the bucket and get back to a functional level amount of water in this bucket. Okay?
Okay.
The moment it hits that point and it sends out that signal, the body will then look to the registered list of things that will get the water back to a regular amount of level of water in the bucket the fastest and the fastest and the most effective. This is why when people experience a certain amount of stress, what are some commonality things of people? What do they do that is quick and easy?
Drink.
They drink, they use, they do something that will do A to B as quick as possible.
Right.
Because their body's tolerance of staying at this level of stress can be significantly impacted, especially if they've been exposed to distress for too long. So their body doesn't have the tolerance to stay there much longer, and they just want a fix. That's why people that are used or that live with addiction are saying that they're looking for a fix, because they're trying to fix the problem of too much water in the bucket, right? So people self-medicate all the fucking time, or they engage in behaviors to try to minimize this all the fucking time. And we live in a society where that is the most accessible more than ever, and we have found we found quick fixes faster than ever, right? Like phones, oh my god, right? Because what do phones do? They provide distraction. Distraction creates some space with the stress. The space from the stress allows the water to get back to a regular level. This is why people are buried in their phone all the time in electronics. It's the instant gratification of that, right? It is drinking. That's pretty quick. You ingest, and pretty soon the effects will follow. You use substances, it will quick to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can be an adrenaline junkie. This is why people, when they're super stressed, all of a sudden they're like, I just wish somebody would just fucking be the final piece. I wish I could just scream at someone or punch someone, blah blah blah. So to reframe that is, I want to find a way to let go of the stress because I'm at the top of the bucket, or I'm at the line of my bucket and the water's pouring over, right?
Right.
So that's what all of that is. And yes, it can be toxic because sometimes in a subconscious way, we can start getting addicted to cortisol, which is our stress hormones, because it will then motivate our bodies to try to find what will minimize being exposed to the stress, and use it as an excuse to engage in the behavior. This is why chemical addictions are so hard to break, because it is so quick to be the fix. Addiction is an attempt to solve a problem, right? And the problem is being exposed to too much pain.
Right.
And so what is recovery? Recovery is trying to both unlearn and reteach your body to not lean into those manners anymore, but not just take away, because you can't just take away. That's also the other extreme. You can't do that. It will, because you're not taking the problem away. It reminds me of the concept of, like they used to say in 12 steps, I don't know if they say anymore, but if you have a drunk horse thief and you take the alcohol away, what do you have?
An angry horse thief.
You have a horse thief that was managing the emotions with the alcohol, right? You still have a horse thief. And so it doesn't make the problem that is exerting the stress go away. You need replacement. You need to reteach. And that's why when as much as people want to harbor and put down people that are using or engaging in addiction and they're like, "Oh, just stop." It's not that easy. I do not care who you are. Come at me sideways about and like, because all I'm going to tell you is that if you think it was that easy, or you wish that it like, oh, that you could do better, you're basically telling me that you have a relationship with it and you have trauma related to it and you're not looking at it through the lens of empathy. I'm not here for it. Send it to somebody else. It is definitely difficult. You need to find a replacement, and whatever replacement that you're going to have that is to be adaptive rather than maladaptive, it will not be as quick and as effective and as easy as it would be the things such as chemical addictions, because it is the rewiring of brain chemistry that happens with chemical addictions. So smoking, drinking, or excessive caffeine use, fucking cannabis, meth, Adderall, Xanax, fucking God, there's so many things. That's all going to be really difficult, right? What it's going to take is an ongoing reteaching of the body, leaning into more adaptive ways. And how you know they're adaptive is that they're more aligned to the values to which you want functioning to look like for you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to take time, and you will relapse. Everybody relapses. You do not get recovery right off the get-go. You need to make error, because if you had it to begin with of how to do it right, then first of all, there probably wasn't a problem to begin with. But everybody relapses when it comes to recovery, but you need that's why you also need the skills of compassion, empathy, and like patience as best you can exert to self and to others, because you're not going to get it right off the bat.
Right.
Yeah.
So Iggy says, from my understanding of how she explained it, was due to excessive amounts of trauma while in my development years, my brain has wired itself to produce fight or flight hormones in response to stress. So now that I'm grown, that's how my brain naturally responds to any moment of stress. So now I have to try and use this biofeedback thing to attempt to retrain my brain not to automatically jump to those survival response hormones.
Correct. And that goes into my favorite quote by Rollo May about response, about human freedom. Do you happen to remember that quote?
The difference between humans and monkeys, essentially.
So it's that the quote is in itself is
we have
human freedom involves our capacity to pause between the stimulus and response, and in that pause to choose the one response towards which we wish to throw our weight.
Yeah.
The capacity to create ourselves based upon this freedom is inseparable from consciousness or self-awareness. Okay? So the more that you engage in self-awareness or self-consciousness, the more that you're able to create the ability or be able to engage in the pause between reaction and response. And reaction is our limbic system, to which fight, flight, freeze, and fawn exist. And response, which is based in values in our prefrontal cortex. And in that, when you start to make decisions to which how you wish to respond, or pause and take space between how you would like to between reacting to responding, is when you have now gained self-consciousness and you will minimize the allowance of trauma to take power away from you. Mic drop.
Boom.
Boom. That is the McKey that is at least maintaining my sanity. I hope it maintains yours.
Well, it sounds like Iggy's got some work cut out for her then.
It's not easy, and if you're doing it, you're already far beyond the general population, because many people don't go this deep into it. They keep on just reacting all the time, and they live their lives out like that, and some people just die like that. It's like, but if the sooner that you could figure it out and try to even work on it, the closer you are to the closest concept of human freedom that can be obtained.
Now, I'm going to have a question on behalf of Iggy, just because I'm trying to think down the line here. When she goes out of town, she's going to be gone for maybe a month or two. How can she keep up with her therapy appointments or work on these situations when she's not going to see her therapist for a few months at a time? Any suggestions?
I would read certain books along the way. I think it's really important to read certain books, because by reading, like engaging in self-awareness actions and like check-ins with self, it can be effective. Again, yeah, of course, like therapists keeping people on their caseload and like coming back to them like during times that's up to the individual therapist. Some people definitely do it. But I will say that it definitely depends on the therapist, and I definitely would encourage that you find certain books that kind of appeal to your maintenance of your mental health. I have so many books that I could recommend. Some that kind of pop off the top of my head, so I will say it slowly. If I don't know, maybe we should kind of get a list going, or like a PDF of like books to recommend for people. Maybe that would be a good resource. But I'll go ahead and list some of them, saying the following. There's a book that is called No Bad Parts by Dr. Richard Schwartz. No Bad Parts by Dr. Richard Schwartz. I would 1,000 times over recommend that book. That book changed my life. In regards to self-maintenance of emotional stability and, you know, self-consciousness. I would recommend The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. His name is spelled Gabormate for his last name. The Myth of Normal. That one's a bit lengthy, but I would definitely encourage to still get it. And take your time with it. It's kind of a lot, but it definitely challenges the belief of the subjective ideal of normality that I just don't believe people really understand. And it really changes challenges the ideas surrounding trauma. I encourage to read that one. I also would encourage, I'm trying to remember this other book real quick. The book that's coming to mind is called The Gifts of Imperfection. That one's by Dr. Brene Brown. Spelled Brene, last name Brown, Brown. And the last book I would recommend, because I don't want to just overwhelm with a bunch of books, is what is it called? I'm trying to think. I think it's called From Surviving to Thriving. Yeah, I think it's called Complex PTSD From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. That is also a book I would recommend. That is also pretty life-changing. It takes a lot of self-reflection and self-responsibility, so please be kind to yourself. But it is very life-changing. It talks about plethora of different complex pieces related to trauma, so please be kind to yourself. And it definitely will better understand the complex PTSD.
All right, so there's some books, and Eggy, if you can't remember what they are, you can always feel free to message
Yeah.
her. It says, if you had to pick one to start with, which one would it be for her?
I think. Well, okay, I have to just ask one question, and then I can kind of pinpoint it. Are you looking for one to maintain self-awareness and self-consciousness, or are you trying to find one to better understand what trauma truly is?
Those are good questions. She also said that her therapist gave her a video to follow when doing the breathing thing to reduce her heart rate, and use her watch to monitor the heart rate. So that's
That's
good.
a really good idea. I usually have my clients engage in what is called somatic breathing, because somatic breathing helps with kind of healing the healing the relationship of stress.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people like use skills such as like box breathing. Box breathing is the skill of like breathing or like inhaling, or it's like there's the count of like breathe in for like 7 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, blow out for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
That could be like box breathing in itself. I do what is called somatic breathing, and I encourage somatic breathing because I think somatic breathing helps with rewiring of the neurological brain. And again, I like the cognitive piece of healing. I think that it's actual genuine healing, not just maintaining. No shame to anybody else and their different approaches with their therapists or their therapy work, if there's any clinicians that ever listen. But I'm trying to heal at the fucking core because I'm tired of pain. And I just kind of want to get to the heart of it all. That's just me though. So somatic breathing, the way I would like suggest it as a skill. So those were my books. This is the skill I'd like to extend. I would encourage anyone listening to me right now to incorporate this breathing style I'm about to try to explain verbally, a minimum of 3 times a day, between one time in the morning, one time around the midday, and one time before bed. And the breathing style is like this.
Oh, hold on. Before you get into that,
Okay.
she said that she wants the presence of oneself. Which book would she want?
Oh, I would suggest No Bad Parts.
All right, there you go. No Bad Parts.
Yeah, No Bad Parts by Dr. Richard Schwartz.
Schwartz. Okay, breathing.
Schwartz. Breathing. So this is what I would encourage as a somatic breathing technique. Somatic breathing technique is going to be this. You would get as comfortable as you sitting wherever you can. But what you're going to do is that I'd like to do a 10 count of this. The 10 count being that when you breathe in, that's 1, and when you inhale, that's 1, and when you exhale, that's 2. And breathe in 3, exhale 4, and you do that up to 10. But the way that it's somatic breathing is you breathe in through your nose, right? And you breathe into the point of it getting as much air into your lungs as much as you possibly can without straining self. Do not strain self, because some people have impacted lung capacities and so forth, right? To the most that you can. But right when you get to the filling of the air in your lungs, then gasp for air just a little bit more. Where you go and breathe in just a little bit more, because what you're doing is that you're sending a pretty much the emergency signal, or the pressing the emergency button to your body and saying you need to calm down. You need to reduce this stress right now. But you're also maintaining that you're not trying to send to the signal to your body that you're in distress and you need to respond to distress. You're trying to say that I am in that and I need to calm down. So you breathe in as much as you can through your nose, and when you hit the point, then gasp for a little bit more, hold it for 4 seconds, and breathe out through your mouth slowly. And you do that up to 10. by doing that, you're trying to create a break in the wave of stress and the buildup of stress in your body, because your body's already accustomed to breathing, but you're trying to teach your body that this is trying to hit a different level of managing stress, very similar to why people sigh. Because when people are like, oh, sighing is so rude, sighing is your brain's attempt to minimize stress. That's like when we go, you're trying to send like a send of cool air to your brain because it's getting literally overheated. So
Really?
sighing is not rude. Sighing is trying to manage stress. Tell your friends. And by doing this, you're giving like the equivalence of an emergency sigh to your body. So it basically is saying, I need to calm down now. And if you do that exercise of breathing in, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out through mouth, do that up to a 10 count 3 times a day, you can start to see, and you're consistent. Again, it is so important. God, I cannot say this enough. You have to be consistent. And if you do this even for a minimum of a week, I'd encourage you to start the beginning of the week of seeing where your general baseline of anxiety and like internal distress is. Do that every day for 7 days, and then check in of how you are at the end and see if there's a difference. It can be that quick. So depends on if you want to dedicate to the act, and that's all. That's my skill I'd like to extend for the day.
There you go. Egg, you can try that while reading your book. It's actually the technique I use to get rid of hiccups, ironically enough.
Well, there you go.
And it works for me. All right. Well, that's it. I'm done. I'm exhausted. I want to go to bed. Hopefully, I'll finally get some sleep today.
Hey, have a silly little goofy time. And then go to bed.
No, I'm already too tired for that.
Oh, well then just go to bed then.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to eat something and do my dishes, and it's probably going to be another hour before I actually get in bed, but...
Well, then I hope that at least you just get to fall asleep as quick as possible.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for stopping by, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybirds.
I don't know what the schedule is going to be like next week, but if you want to watch this episode again, it'll be up on YouTube probably within the next 4 or 5 hours. Or you can come back next Thursday where we might be doing this again. It's Thanksgiving, so I don't know, maybe. And then as far as Two Wheel Tuesday goes, that's also a maybe because I have my race this weekend. And I just don't know if I'm going to end up destroying my neck further or what the deal is. So keep an eye out. Come back around Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I might be on the bike. If not, then try again 6:30 p.m. next Thursday. If not, then who knows? I'll be back at some point. Yeah, maybe over after Thanksgiving, after Black Friday, I'll probably play some Isaac or something, but that's not going to happen this weekend because I'm leaving to a different state tomorrow.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So be kind, be safe in that journey. Otherwise, we'll see where it all goes from here.
Okie dokie. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you all later.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye, Chatham Moran. Bye.